G'day superstars, g'day legends, it's Peps and I'm here with Tipped Out's round 17 selections for a massive, a huge, a monumental finals shaping round of AFL football. And what a belter of a game it was last night with the Richmond Football Club getting the chocolates over Sydney. I did go with Sydney to take this one out, but unfortunately the Tigers it was amazing. After getting smashed the week before, they've just turned up and beaten the Swans at their own game. I thought the Swans were going to run away with this one early on, but Richmond did what they always do, having 28 scoring shots to 20, and in the end, the 13-point margin said a little bit more about Richmond's hopes of playing finals. I still think they'll miss, and I'll pretty much have to say Sydney are Kaputski for season 2023. But it's all going to be really kicking off tonight, Friday, July 7, 7:50 p.m. at Superhero Stadium, Marvel Stadium, the Western Bulldogs versus Collingwood. I'm telling you now, this is the game of the weekend. If you go by all the selections across the board, all the tips from all the experts, the non-experts, your aunties, your uncles, the psychics, etc., it's literally split 50-50 down the middle. Some big ins this weekend for both teams. When you have a look at it, Ed Richards comes back in for the Dogs. And for Collingwood, Ash Johnson and Jordan De Goey are back in as well. Unfortunately, with Brody Myercheck out and Maynard out, it's going to be a little bit difficult for them. I am still going with Collingwood. The trust factor with them is just a little bit higher than it is with the Western Bulldogs at this moment in time. I still think they are a little bit susceptible down back. And that saying, Jamari Ugelhagen is playing some cracking football down forward, and Jordan De Goey back in the team. Is he going to spend more time up forward with Myercheck being out? Will that mean Cox means spend more time down forward? We don't know, but this is going to be an absolute corker. I am going with Collingwood, but by the barest of margins, a bee's dick. 1 point in for this one. All right, one game that's not going to be difficult to pick is going to be the Brisbane Lions versus the Wet Toast Eagles. Jabba the Hutt, 1:45 p.m. tomorrow. Brisbane by the length of the Flemington Straight. We know that they've got third position pretty much locked in at the moment. It's going to be a percentage booster for them. They need to keep winning and they need to keep smashing on that percentage. Zorko's in for them and Gunston's in as well too. McGovern is in for, I think, his first game for the year, and also Tim Kelly back in for the West Coast Eagles as well too. It's not going to make much of a difference. Brisbane will smash this. It'll be too easy for them. Don't even put the multi over 40 points for this one. Charlie Cameron to kick at least 3 and Danaher to have another week out. So that means that we're skipping on to the next game. GWS have been in really good form over the last few weeks. Good game against Melbourne last week up there at TIO Stadium versus the Hawthorn Hawks at Giant Stadium, their home ground, the traditional fighting point for these two teams, 4:35 p.m. Going with the Giants again. Giants, and I'd say this one quite easily as well too. Their form over the last few weeks has been magnificent. Their midfield has just been doing everything. Lockie Whitfield is back in too, which is sensational. The Hyphen is back in for the Hawks as well too. Denver, Granger, Barassan, Impey and Brockman back in for the Hawks as well. But I don't think it's going to play much of a difference because the Giants, their football last week, even though they got significantly outscored in the inside 50s, they hit the scoreboard a lot more cleaner than Melbourne, and Toby Green was absolutely sensational down forward as well too. And don't forget that other guy who's been sort of getting under the radar a little bit of late when I'm talking about Josh Kelly. I know he's been paid an absolute bucket load of cash to be up there, but he has been showing some really, really good form. And I've said it before. If he was down in a Melbourne club, he would be a superstar of the league. But the Giants, I'm going by 5 goals with this one. I think that they deserve to have a blowout game. They haven't had a blowout loss, and they haven't had a blowout win for quite a while. I'm going with the Giants to beat the Hawks. All right. If we said that the game on Friday night, tonight, between Western Bulldogs and Collingwood was going to be a biggie, well, this is going to be almost Final 8 defining. Secure the Saints versus the Melbourne Demons at their traditional fighting stadium of Superhero Stadium, Marvel Stadium, 7:25 p.m. tomorrow. When you have a look at both teams, it's going to be a little bit difficult to say who I'm going to go with because Billings is in, Zane Cordy and Zach Jones in for this game. Jones and Billings playing their first games for the season. For the Ds, Charlie Spargo, James Jordan, and Taj Woden has been brought in as well. Looks like Goody went to old 58 at Bunnings and has swung the axe with James Harms, Joel Smith, who I think is a bit stiff, and Cade Chandler all being omitted. Where is Jacob Van Rooy and everybody? Plays, I think, about 12 games in a row, 12, 13 games in a row, could be even more, and then gets dropped No reason coming out of the club. Dry conditions under the roof with no Bailey Fritsch. You'd think he'd be a shoo-in to take this one, but they haven't put him out. If you have a look at the Saints, though, they're missing Hill, Higgins, Josh Battle, and Ryan Burns has been omitted as well, too. So I think even though Melbourne is still missing Oliver with the infected blister-related hamstring injury, which is going on, which will probably be 11 weeks in total by the time it's finished. Still not there. I think just with the losses out of the forward and the mids for St Kilda is just going to be a little bit too difficult for them. I reckon Melbourne need to win this one, solidify that fourth spot. They've got a couple of harder games coming up as well, too. I'm going by the Ds, but this will be a very, very tight game, and I'm not seeing more than 3 goals in it Melbourne's way or St Kilda's way. Port Adelaide versus the Gold Coast Suns is the next game up on the cards. Everybody, when we have a look at this is going to be a Saturday night special. Port Adelaide going for their umpteenth win in a row. The Gold Coast Suns massively disappointing after last week. When you consider that it was the first sellout game for many, many years, their opportunity to have a pinching win against a top team and they weren't able to deliver the goods. Massive letdown for Stewie Dew and his troops. Port Adelaide only gets stronger with Junior Rioli, Lockie Jones and Sam Hayes back in. Tuke Miller, fantastic, has been brought in for his first game in a long time for the Gold Coast Suns. But it's Port Adelaide, it's at home. Gold Coast are going to have to do a hell of a lot more than what they served up last week. And I think Port Adelaide are going to be way too strong. 76% of all tipsters are going with Port Adelaide at the moment, according to Squiggle AFL prediction. And I'm pretty much agreeing with that one as well, too. It might be tied early, but I reckon that Port Adelaide might be able to kick away, especially when you've got Rioli down there, Dixon will be down there, Marshall's floating around. Don't forget Rosie, Butters, Wines, Horn Francis, so many options down there. It's not going to be easy for the Port backmen either, with King having some good form over the last couple of weeks. But I will say, just unfortunately, it's at the wrong place at the wrong time for the Suns. Wrong place for Stewie Dew at the moment. And Port Adelaide will get their 87th win in a row. All right, let's get into the Sunday games. Geelong versus North Melbourne at GM HBA Stadium is where the game is going to be played. Sunday, 1:10 p.m. Look, there's not really much to talk about this because I know that if you have a look at the ins, Parfait, O'Connor, Mitch Knevitt, Austin Mullen, Oliver Dempsey, Sam Menengola all coming in. Charlie Lazaro, Cooper Harvey playing his first game. Also, Tajwai Woden playing his first game for the Ds this week as well too, which is going to be massive. It's Geelong. It's at home. North have been a lot better over the last number of weeks. We know that they're in their rebuild phase, but I like what they see. I love everything that Larky's been doing, but unfortunately, Geelong are just going to be way too strong at the home game, at their home ground. Could get, I won't say ugly, but this could be easily a 6 or 7 goal win to Geelong. Could be more. But hey, North Melbourne have been pretty good on the defensive side of things as well. So if they can match it in the midfield, you never know what could happen. But Geelong, I think they'll do it quite easily, but don't be surprised if this is a little bit tighter than we think it might be. Well, we've already had Western Bulldogs and Collingwood. We've already had St Kilda and Melbourne being 2 absolute sensational games for this weekend. We've got another one on Sunday afternoon, and we're talking about Essendon versus the Adelaide Crows. And this one, my friends, is going to be an absolute rip snorter at Marvell Stadium again, 3:20 p.m. Essendon love it under the dome, and they are coming home final side, absolutely purring, and they have a massive opportunity to lock in a spot in the 8. They've just got to keep winning, and hopefully this 7th versus 8th game. The other reason I'm picking Essendon over this one is because it's under the dome. If it was at Adelaide, bar none. But unfortunately, we just can't trust them outside of the Adelaide Oval. And I do trust Essendon a lot more. Cox is in. Nick Hyde is in. Nick Bryan is in. Hallie Himmelberg is in. Harry Schoenberg, James Bolas is in for his first game. Good yuck, young man. And Patrick Parnell as well. Jordan Butts is out, and unfortunately, we cannot lie about that one. Look, probably the best forward line going around at the moment besides the flow and the connection between Collingwood, which I'm talking about Adelaide, but just Essendon across the board, really exciting to see. And I think that they'll be able to pinch this one in a very, very tight one. No more than 2 goals for the Essendon Football Club to win this game. All right, if you reckon 52% of punters are going with Essendon to beat Adelaide, it'd be quite surprised if you look at the Fremantle versus Carlton game. Last game, now I've said it so far many, many times on Lace Out. The number 1 AFL non-club affiliated podcast this side of the Westgate Bridge. I've said it virtually all season that the graveyard shift, the 4:40 slot on a Sunday afternoon, has been delivering cracking games over the season. And this is another one, Fremantle versus Carlton. Fremantle have to keep winning. Carlton have to keep winning. One of these two teams is going to be a loser this weekend unless we are picking a draw, which we may or may not. When you've got Bailey Banfield coming in, Corley Ragnar playing his first another game, Sam Sturt, Nat Fyfe is injured again, Carl Warner playing his first game for the Dockers. Good luck, young fella. Luckily Cohen, Matt Cottrell, Tom DeConing all playing theirs, Charlie Curnow and Nick Newman playing their 100th games as well. Carlton got the win that they needed to last week. And Fremantle, well, they've been a bit yo-yo-y, haven't they? Up and down, up and down. So we don't know which Fremantle is going to turn up. What I will say is this. If I had to look at both teams right now, who do I trust more? I would go with Fremantle at Fremantle. Fremantle away, probably not as much, but I'm definitely going with Fremantle. It will be a couple of goals. They have to have a big blowout game. I haven't seen a game where they've dominated a team over there in Perth for quite a long time. I guess a team that's on their similar level. Curnow and Mackay got in a bit of form last week. I will say, though, I just like what Fremantle are doing. Fyfe going out, funny enough, is not actually going to be an issue. I think that's actually going to be better for them because that's going to get him back to their sort of setup that they had earlier on in the season. When Fyfe came in, it caused a bit of a disorganisation. It was almost throwing a pebble in the water. Ripple effect. So I'm definitely going with Fremantle for that game there. So selections for this weekend. We already know that Richmond took it out. We're going with Collingwood. I'm going with Brisbane. Going with GWS, going with Melbourne, Port, Geelong, Essendon by a bee's dick, and Fremantle, the wankers with anchors, to get another win. There you go, listeners. That's tipped out round 17 tips for this week's round of AFL football. Remember to join me, Chris Pepper, host of Lace Out, with Jamie the J-Dog Wallis being back this Monday night, 8 p.m, live on the Facebook page. Also, give us a like, give us a like. Tell everybody about our beautiful podcast. My challenge for you is to send it a link to one of your co-friends, anyone, and tell them, hey, a few weeks to go, get onto the best AFL podcast. No frills, because it's how you want your footy, and it's Lace Out. Hope your team wins. Have a great weekend. Thanks for tuning in, listeners. We do it because we absolutely love you. It's Peps, and have a cracker of a weekend, and I'll see you Monday.